group instruction requirements. So look at the fundamental principles of group instruction and individual instruction. They're actually pretty much the same, except you're just going to add a few things when you're talking about your approach towards teaching groups rather than individuals. You'll be looking at a few things here. You're going to see really your prior towards being organized a little more. In an individual lesson, you can kind of freewheel and go around things. In a group lesson, you really have to be structured and disciplined, especially with time management. You really got to get going. Just from experience and did a lot of teaching internship. Really, what you had to learn fast was how to manage time when you're doing groups of 2 or more people. Just make sure everyone gets equal amount of time. They're feeling like they're important, feeling that they're being paid attention to. That's a huge thing for retaining lessons and just for them having total enjoyment. Safety instructions, especially with teaching juniors. You gotta lay out right away at the beginning of the lesson. First of all, just simple spacing, especially with juniors. Increasingly so, you have to make sure that when they're all kind of bunched together, make sure no one's swinging the golf club too close to anyone. Everyone's space. We've discussed on how to properly be spaced out of the range. Huge things for everyone's enjoyment. You get hit in the head of the golf club, you're probably not going to enjoy your time there. We talk about using teaching aids that allow individual learning. So a lot of times, if you have a group of 5 or 6 or even say 8, and you're the only teacher in the area, you really got to be looking for ways that students can learn while you're not sitting there babysitting them, giving them instruction. So a lot of times, certain teaching aids can really help with that. And then also the partner system, same kind of deal. If we're working on a total group fundamental, and you have someone with you that's able to work on it at the same time, you can critique each other and motivate each other. You can let get things going on. You also want to make sure you keep things simple. In individual lesson, you can get really in detail. You can spine angle this, club path that, and get into detail of video, all you want to do. But in a group lesson, you have to keep it rather simple. Basic fundamentals is really the best way to go, and keep it pretty quick. And then really, it's a big issue. A lot of times, one student will really try to take over all your time. They're going to ask you 100 questions, try to make it all about them, when really it's just a group lesson. You're usually paying a lower rate anyways for it, so you're getting a certain percentage of the time split evenly with everyone else. We have to focus on that. It relates again to organization, making sure you give everyone the same amount of time. You have things planned out on the stations you want to do or what topics you want to discuss. And then also, really just focus on having fun. A lot of times, group lessons are designed to be a less serious environment. So really want to make sure everyone's enjoying themselves. And also, you want to make sure you're adapting your teaching approach to who you're actually instructing. A lot of times, you're going to deal with, say, a group of ladies that comes to your clinic or your program, rather than guys who've been playing for 20 years, play 3 times a week. You're going to approach that group differently than the other. But also, you have to make sure you don't go too strongly on general stereotypes. Really want to do is kind of feel out your group when you're doing the introductions and getting to know them at first before you start teaching. That way you can have the best results rather than relying fully on a stereotype, and you might make the wrong judgment. Helping people stay involved. So our ultimate goal in player development and the game really is just to retain customers, keep people coming back and staying motivated in the game. A lot of times facilities are focusing too much on attracting players, and really we need to focus on retaining as well. As on the instructional side of things, we're looking at player development. You really want to be encouraging your students to come back, let alone for business, but also their improvement. So I'd say you have a beginning level player development program. You really want to, after they graduate from that program, grab them right away, talk to them even during it. Hey, I think it'd be a great idea. I think you'd enjoy the next level, and continue to let them climb up the ladder so they go from beginner to the next level class. Also, they're taking individual lessons. Also, their family wants to get into it, or they want to play in their club championships. They want to play in that and not embarrass themselves. They want to play at a higher level. And it's continuously getting and building people up the ladder, and they'll have word of mouth. They'll spread all over. It's great for the business. Now, when we're evaluating effectiveness, we're kind of moving into phase 4 here. So when we're looking at effectiveness, we really want to talk about you want to measure your results of the year against your goals or objectives you set beforehand. Whether it's budgeting, whether it be certain exact projects you're trying to get done. But there's really 4 main questions you want to answer when we're talking about effectiveness of these programs. Are the programs working? Flat and simple. I mean, are we in general look at it? Are these things doing what we want them to do? And we look at how effective we are in attracting and retaining golfers. A lot of times programs don't advertise or market well enough, and they have the The program itself is very good when they get people to go into it. People are enjoying it, but they're just not getting the word of mouth out there. So sometimes evaluating that can be a big issue in how poorly or how well we're doing. We look at participation. Are participants spending money at the facility beyond the program fees? A lot of times, not a lot of times, what we want to look at is, are people going through the golf shop and browsing, buying things? Are they contributing? Are they coming back to play actual rounds of golf? Are they coming to get range balls, depending on what facility you're at? Let's look at those things. And then also, how can the program be more effective? And we'll kind of go more into depth as we go here, but what can we do better? What can we make things more efficient? Pay attention more to more timely, more efficient in terms of cost, and also getting more money as well. We always want to look at the business side of things as well. And when you're doing this, you always want to make sure that you're comparing something, big note here, set goals and objectives to compare data to. But at the beginning of the year, when you start the program from the base, what are your goals for this program? Have those laid out somewhere, so when you look at the data that we're talking about later here, are you matching what you want to do? Are you exceeding it? Are you falling short? What can we do? And we're going to look at participation. So, when we talk about participation, especially in these player development programs, first of all, the data should be available right offhand to see how many participants you had, whether it's from registration forms, from customer or student info that you're getting from them, whether they're submitting it in a form or just talking to you in general, or your list of who you have or how many participants. You also want to look at the possibility of developing a database program. If you register your player development program through Play Golf America, they're going to have a system for you that when people register for it, that data is already there. They can separate it into certain times of months, years, categorize it in so many different ways. Or you can have your own facility system in which is a basic Excel sheet even. But it's having something that can record this data simply, organize it in certain ways, and develop it. Be easier to find out kind of participation information. Financial performance, we're going to move into next. Really, you got to maintain and keep track of data when you're talking about financial information. You want to look at revenues, you look at costs, you look at profits. You really got to just make sure that's staying there so you can compare it to those objectives that we talked about earlier when I had those goals set. You got to have it there for comparing. You want to look at actual performance versus budget performance. Once again, the goals, budget goals we have going on. Let's say we made X amount of money, our goal was a little bit above that. We're not doing what we wanted. What can we do better? What can we do to make things more efficient? Can we cut down on certain parts of the program to save money? Or do we just need to crank up marketing? There's a lot of options you got to look at there. And then you also want to look at correlating financial performance. Other parts of the facility. A lot of times when you keep track of this data properly, you can see what percentage of sales or greens fees or sales of equipment is correlating with or related to the students in your player development programs. Had they come in and bought a driver, bought some pullovers, had they played rounds of golf? And we looked at the last segment, lesson 2, we talked about in our segments that the average golfer that goes through these programs is spending an average of $1,100 in their first year. So that's some kind of stuff you can pay attention to. Customer satisfaction and commitment. Really, with satisfaction, when we're tracking this kind of stuff, you really want to make sure that you're open to suggestions and what your students have to say in these programs. Whether it's a parent who's watching their kid or if someone that's actually participating in the program, we got to be open to hearing what they have to say. Take this in, because that can lead to improvements, whether it's small detail or large detail. We have multiple forms of feedback. It can be someone writing something to you, a hand note or anything like that, or it can be online surveys, phone calls, face-to-face. There is an advantage, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, to specific questions in a survey you can send out after a player development program or a lesson, but you can get specific data from that. You can ask a very specific question, a question that you're trying to get answered to help develop the program, see if it's successful, and if you're getting out of it what you want to, in forms of the business and also in a place in the community for the golf course. So when you talk about online surveys or follow-up surveys, it's a really good idea that you can get exact, specific details. And then modify the program based on results. You can see it's pretty short and simple on the slide. what works and what doesn't. We've talked about many things, different characteristics. Talk about financials. You can go to surveys. You can talk about, just simple goals and participation. All these things correlate together, and we're trying to find, okay, were we successful? And if we weren't, what areas could we improve to make us successful? Or do we completely remodel the program? Do we trash it and get a new one? Or are we already successful? Okay, in that case, what can we do to be better? Whether it's setting your new goal of being better to, okay, do we want higher profit out of this? Or do we want more participants to get that higher profit? Or do we want to market more so we get a larger base and we can develop multiple programs? It's all based on your own facility needs, but you have to first and foremost look at all those other performance metrics and just looking at what are we able to do, and then go from there. It all depends on your own business's goals, how motivated you are, how driven you are to change things, or if you're just trying to just really start up a program. It all depends on the facility as well, but that basically does it. That ends my portion of the presentation and our presentation tags. Thanks for listening. I heard you talking, but open the floor to questions.